Lisa. I have a bunch of photos today, and I'm going to do them on a one-pager. We're going to do a grid layout with a lot of elements. So this is a 4x3 grid, so you could put 12 elements. It can be photos, it can be pieces of designer paper or jelly prints or whatever you want, or embellishments, however you would want to arrange your elements. And they could go this way also, so you could have 3 columns and 4 rows if your photos went more landscape. But I have more portrait photos. And these are actually photos of food, of course. One of the first things we do when we get to Hilton Head Island is we pick up the restaurant guide. And the restaurant guide has menus for many of the restaurants on the island, and it has some reviews and stuff. They always say nice things about everybody, but it's mainly you're going through and looking at the menus. And of course you can do a lot of this stuff online, but it's just, this is something we've been doing for years and years now, long before we had access to the internet, before anybody really had much access to the internet, starting back in the early 90s. So it's just a tradition, and I wanted to capture that. And I have photos I took of several of the places we ate. The best meal we had, I didn't take a picture of, I forgot, but I can talk about that in the journaling. So I'm going to trim these photos down and put them with some probably fairly colorful papers. We've got some blues and reds here. The food itself is not, you know, super colorful, but I thought we would do a neutral background for that. I have a couple of pieces of craft paper. This is Stampin' Up's. They have a special craft that you can order in 12 by 12 sheets. This is probably the only time I'll order it. To me, it's just, it's not what I want to use for scrapbooking. It's more traditional craft paper, and that's not what I'm really looking for. This is their old craft color, the crumb cake color they still have, but you can't buy it in 12 by 12 packs anymore. You just have to buy it as part of the neutrals collection. But I still have some of that, so one or the other of these. I'd really kind of like to use this. I think I'll work with it. And we're going to pick out some papers. I pulled a few things from my scrap stash of 6x6s, and that would probably be enough because I don't need but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I really only need 5 unless I mat some of these photos. But I also have this paper. This is an old collection from Basic Gray, and I have some newer stuff from Simple Stories in these same color lines as well. So let's take a quick look at some of these and see if there's ones that I like with the photos. There's a photo. Yeah. I like that yellow shirt my husband has on, and the blue and the red. This was a paper that I kind of thought would look good with it. And these, of course, have some of the journaling cards. Don't think I'll work any of those in. There's that paper too. I like the smaller scale, I think. I didn't really have anything much food related, so when I get to the embellishments, I'll probably have to cut something out of the silhouette. The only thing I had food related was like some fruits and stuff. I didn't really have anything for meals. Not much there. So there's probably enough to get me started here with the colors. I think all this is going to work with this paper, so let's do our scoring. Score this. What I have, these are every 3 inches, so I'm going to have one at 6 inches, 3, and then 9, and then going down here it's going to be every 4 inches. So let's take our paper. Hold this in good place good. Do a 3-inch and a 6-inch and a 9-inch. And then we do a 4-inch and an 8-inch. Okay. Now, I could leave it like this and just have those score lines, but I think I want to fold it up so you can see them a little better. Not overdone, just a little bit. Press that down, and so that's our lines that will separate our grid here. So it's kind of subtle. Now, one thing I could do is use this side and rub like some ink on these, and that would make it stand out a little bit more and work with that side. But I kind of like the look of this side. So that's the one we're going to stick with. And as I say, I've got these photos. So we'll trim that down and make sure they all fit in their little slots. With my photos trimmed down, I'm just arranging them. I want one of my husband reading the restaurant guide up there at the top. There was one place that we went to before we ever even got on the island. We went down really early for this trip. We've had to start doing that where we don't really make a lot of advanced plans and just go down early and try to make our arrangements when we get there because of family things that are going on. There's just no such thing as making advanced reservations right now. So we got to the island really early, and by then we had called and we'd reserved our place to stay, and so we had a little time, and we had lunch in Bluffton. And so I have that restaurant to talk about in the journaling. I'm working on my title. It's going to be simple, Hilton HH Food, and I'm just using some canvas letters that are meant to be colored in some way. I keep forgetting these are really great with watercolors, and I didn't think about my watercolors, but I just used markers to do those. I went ahead and glued those on, and then I cut some embellishments from the Silhouette store, just these little pots that I bought. I was going to do forks and spoons and knives, but they were going to have to be awfully small, so I just thought the pots would cut a little bit better. Took a little bit more of my scrap paper and made a little banner up there at the top, or pennant, so I could put the date on there. This layout is a good use for 6x6 papers, and I have a class called Sensational 6x6 where we do all kinds of stuff with 6x6s. So if you like those types of papers, check out that class. Now, the area I had reserved for journaling down there, I realized I had way more journaling than was going to fit in that space, so I went ahead and printed it and put it on another piece of that same paper and just glued it down. It's going to be like a little fold over, and I will keep that closed with some twine. This is not the kind of thing I'm going to be opening and reading all that often. You know, it's sort of something you might look back years from now, or even a couple of years down the road. Did we eat at such and such restaurant, and what was our experience with it? That kind of thing. So this is one of those times when the page sort of serves as an almanac for things that we did. And I chose the brown baker's twine because I felt like I kind of had enough color there with other things, and I'll use some of that twine also up there in one of the squares at the top. I've got a brad for down at the bottom. And one of the restaurant that I didn't have a photo of is Charlie Etoile Verte, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I remember my high school and college French. I didn't remember what it stood for, and I had to look it up. It means green star. Okay, I wrapped up the page with one more large wood veneer piece to kind of balance those. I added a few little word stickers and a few hearts from Go Now Go, these little hearts. So I like doing these pages because you get to use those small elements and create this sort of little collage kind of things where just little bits of the story in different segments of the page, and that's one of the things I love about doing grid pages. I think that makes them really fun. Now you could do this one also. You could take a larger photograph and go over two sections and not score that section, or whatever you do, stitch or whatever you do between them. If you wanted to change the arrangement a little bit, it would work that way. This particular sketch is going to be in the 2016 sketchbook, even though it's well into 2017. I got behind at the end of last year and did not get quite all of my sketches done, but I think this is the last one with video. I do have a few that I did pages and videos, and I haven't actually written up this or done up the sketch yet, so I have those to do. I have a lot of editing to do because I will go back a lot of times and add little elements to them that maybe I put on the page, or make some adjustments and clean them up. And I've got to the indexes and all those kinds of things. So it will be a few more weeks before the 2016 sketchbook is published. But when it is, I will announce that here on the YouTube channel and on my blog and Facebook and all the places where you can find me. So I hope you will look forward to that. And we do have the past 3-year sketchbooks available over on my blog. You can find information about those. Let's do some close-ups of this page. This was a fun one to wrap things up with, because I always say this every time I do a grid page. I love doing grid pages, but I don't do that many of them as I should, probably as much as I like doing them, because there's so many different things you can do. This is the first time I've used scoring between the sections. It's just a different way of doing it, and it would have been pretty to have done it on the back too, maybe even rub some ink over that as well. So lots of different ways that you can do your divisions in your grid pages. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, if you would leave me a thumbs up on YouTube, I would appreciate it, and I love to get any questions that you might have. Thanks so much.